And that's every post delivery. So I don't quite know what's going on. I don't know what I started when I started this, but I do know that it went round the city because a week after doing this, I was working for a gentleman. I used to work for a stairlift company, and I was doing a job in a gentleman's house. He was talking about this, but he didn't know it was me. I did tell him, but he told me about it before I told him. So it turned round, I started saying cough, but I didn't realise it was quite... So, this is lawful rebellion, okay? It's lawful. That's the big part. It's lawful. You're not doing anything that's against the law. And remember, the law and the legal world are two different things, are two different entities. One's real, one's an illusion. I peacefully resist all claims against this piece of paper, the person, by refusing to consent to the corporation's policy. My friend Richard did it the other day and was dragged down the station. My friend over there, Carolyn, was spent 13.5 hours in the station for doing it. You're not going to stop these people taking you away. And if you can't handle it, it's like the old saying, if you can't handle it, you know, what is the saying about the heat? Forget it. Whatever. You know, you can't stand the heat, don't go in the kitchen.
It was 13 3/4 hours, and at the end of it, I did not consent to it.
Absolutely. Never consented. Never. And so one of the things I want to say about this is, as well, which is very unique, is that all the time that Carolyn spent in the police station, out of all the officers she spoke to, it was a civilian who actually backed her up and said what she's saying is true. A civilian knew. But see, the officers don't understand it. They don't know. Unless you get to chief inspector level, then they understand, because that is fun. They really do understand the rules of the game. And I prove it because Chief Inspector Hewitt of Hertfordshire Constabulary rang me at 11:45 one night to discuss an incident that he wouldn't do because of statutory legislation. And I said that he had a common law duty to do it. And guess what? He did it. He overruled statutory legislation and he used common law. The reason being is because he knew, I knew, the rules of the game.
Can you get the chief, if you're in the police station...
Oh, absolutely.
Can you get the chief...
Do you know what the powerfulest thing to say to the police? Can I now place on record your refusal? That word strikes bells in these people. Because if you refuse a contract, it's called dishonour. And they know that. It must be the only way, because I don't know how it works. All I know is that I threatened the Chief Inspector with common law. And the incident was over a noisy neighbour, would you believe? It wasn't nothing to do with me, it was my stepson. I even proved that the sergeant that night committed perjury. He lied through his teeth. Absolutely lied through his teeth. Remember as well, you're walking into an environment, you have absolutely no protection. You have no protection from these people, they can do what they want. I've got stories, I've got no reason to disbelieve it, and a gentleman's coming to see me tomorrow. He was threatened with being hung up by his left leg until he consented.
Yeah, I was threatened with violence.
Richard was threatened. Carolyn's threatened. Do you know why? Because they're frightened of you. They are seriously frightened of you. They're frightened of the words you use.
But the police officers are starting to know.
They are, darling. I know they are. Absolutely. I'm not against the police. I've got friends in the police, and I know that they're good people. I know they've got hearts, good hearts on them, and I'm not against them. And we do need a police force because there is elements out there who don't understand the difference between right and wrong, and even if they do, they're not doing as they should do. And it's sad.
Is it because of common purpose, though?
It's another question I don't want to answer. Yeah. Talk to Brian. What I would always ask is, am I obliged to answer your questions? Okay? Am I obliged? All right? I would ask them, under what authority and under what law are you acting? As I now know, you will be arrested for obstructing an officer in his duty. What I would ask is, duty to who? It's true, isn't it?
Can I ask, if they're a service, are they not our service?
Absolutely, absolutely correct. That's what the police men and women are. The fictional officer, the persona, is not. The trouble is these people are being trained into being this fiction. They're not being trained as they used to be trained.
When has that change come about?
Do you know what? I'd love to know. So if you can find out, please tell me. That's another thing as well I want to say to you tonight. This is what the People's United community is about. It's about you. If you find anything out that you think we need to know, or you feel we need to know, let us know. And it doesn't...
Way, they're anticipating a summer of rage.
But that's a great way of installing fear. And this all works on fear.
Can I just say something as well?
Yeah.
You said something about needing a police force because there are some elements of society you don't know right and wrong. I just watched a guy called Russell Blaylock, who's an MD in America, who talks a lot about diet and allergies and immunisations and all this sort of stuff, which actually, if you take additives and things out of people's diet, the violence that they were expressing...
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man-made chemicals. It's absolutely true.
But the thing is though, is that your right and wrong might be someone else's completely. I don't understand why your right and wrong is the next man's right and wrong, you know. That's what I don't get, is how you can say there's right and wrong when like my right and wrong can be completely different to his there or his there.
It's common sense, isn't it? Yeah, but it's common sense.
Yeah, but what if I would have
Yeah,
done
well,
to me,
we'll
it's
do
like
questions and
not
answers.
You know what I mean? Like then, you know, it doesn't make any...
Can we do questions and answers after, please? I've got to try and get to the end of this, and then I'll answer any question. I don't mind. Yeah, I'll answer your questions. I'll answer any question you know. I will remind him, and this is absolutely true. Okay, failure to differentiate between a statute and law is gross negligence, which is equivalent to fraud. Okay. A friend of mine, Albert Burgess, an ex-police special, he's applying this. He's doing certain things at the moment that are going to be very interesting. The outcome. But this Scotland Yard have got quite a twist about him at the moment, which I love because I will remind them this applies to anyone who's trying to enforce a statute upon me, no matter who they are. Because it's not being forced on me, it's being forced on that piece of paper. I remind them that the person you are trying to act upon is nothing more than a piece of paper, and I would explain why. If I receive a fixed penalty notice about my car which states it applies to the owner, I'm going to bloody send it to the owner. This applies to any fixed penalty notice I receive regarding something I've been duped into registering. If I receive an on-the-spot fine, I will send it to the GRO with a copy of my birth certificate saying you created the person, you own the place, and you paid the bloody fine. But it's nothing to do with me, it's to do with that piece of paper. I told you before. If I get a summons to go to court, I'm going to send a copy of birth certificate and tell them, crack on! I'm sorry, but it's that simple. That's how simple it is. We've been bashing our heads against the wall trying to say to ourselves, how are we going to fight this? How are we going to fight it? It's so bloody simple. Rob, wait. One piece of paper in our world creates 10 in theirs. Okay? That's what it creates. It creates 10. You don't have to do the maths for you. Work it out for yourself. One doctor, one case, 15,000 pieces of paper. Okay? Do the maths. They want to do paperwork? Give them paperwork to do. Right. This was sent by Colin, wherever he is. He sent me this because I wanted to see it because it was the information that was on it is remarkable. If you look at this, this is actually the back of a fixed penalty notice from Bromley Council, I believe. Is it, Carl? Yeah. Right. You can't really see it, and it's a shame because everywhere, owner, 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 it talks of the owner. In every single part of it, it talks, and then it even says the person. Okay? But and then over here, exactly the same. Notice to the owner. Notice to the owner. It's always to do with the owner. But this bit is the most interesting. This bit. You see all these boxes? They are not pertaining to this document and they have nothing to do with the subject matter of this document. Check this out for yourself. Basically, take all them boxes off there and they mean nothing. It means they pertain to something else. This is a trick. You agree to be the person because you sign, you give your title, you give your address, they've got joinder, because they can only act upon that person if they get joinder. Don't believe because you give your name that they can act upon you, because that's bullshit. And I'm going to say it's bullshit because it is. They can only act when they get an address, because I could be John Harris, there could be 100,000 of me in this country. And until they can get me pinned down to an address, they use the postcode to do it. When they get me pinned down to an address, they've got the John Harris that they want.